Okay, so I will start the content. Hi everyone, and welcome to our live session number 160 that I do every week, now every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time. And tonight I'm going to be answering more questions about the validation process. I receive many questions every week, and obviously a lot of questions that I received during the workshops that I was promoting, and I never had the time to answer in live sessions, so I'm catching up with some of the questions. So, but first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida. I'm the founder of the website www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website to share content of value and useful information towards for your journey towards your engineering qualification validation here in Australia. And also share other information about other subjects related to engineering, and also about how you can get your first professional job as an engineer here in Australia. Thank you very much for following me in my social media. And if you appreciate the work that I do and the content, please hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything and gives me motivation and tells the Instagram and YouTube that the content is interesting, and the platforms will then distribute to other people that may be relevant to them as well. So if you hit the like button, I do appreciate. Thank you. All right, so I'll start with some of the questions. This one, yes, was from Bruno in Instagram. Not sure if he's there. No, probably not. Oh, I think he's in Brazil, and in Brazil it's 7:38 a.m. on a Sunday, so would be really to ask him a lot to be here 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday. But anyway, the live session will be recorded. Well, it's being recorded, so he can check it out, the answer there. So his question was, and I will translate, what are the necessary documents from the company in Brazil to prove in the career episode? Well, there's probably two different aspects of this question, Bruno. One question is, it could be from the skilled employment evidences, which is your reference letter. So if your question is about to prove that you worked in that company, so you're talking about the reference letter. So carta de referência, that would be in Portuguese. And the booklet, Migration Skills Assessment from Engineers Australia, is very clear on what needs to be in that reference letter. But overall, the reference letter needs to be on a company letterhead, papel timbrado, and obviously stating your name, your position that you worked for, the period that you work for, the starting date and the finishing date. Also, if you're working part-time or full-time. And the salary base for the validation process is not quite necessary. They don't ask your salary base for the validation process. But if you're going to apply for the validation of your work experience in terms of time, then you will need to have your salary base in your reference letter. So if you're going to ask them a reference letter, might as well include the salary base. That could be monthly, weekly, annually. So it depends on what your company is comfortable to be there. Hi Bruno, you're in YouTube. Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I follow the YouTube in my iPad, and the comments are very, very down. I have to split the screen. Yeah, thank you, Bruno. So that is for you to prove that you worked for the company. So that's your reference letter. But if you're talking about the documents that you need to prove or to support as a supporting evidence of your experiences that you're going to use in your career episode. For example, let's say For example, Bruno, what type of engineer are you? Are you a civil engineer? Are you a mechanical engineer? Are you environmental engineer, chemical engineer, electrical engineer? Because then I can probably give a more direct answer to your question. And that's what happens with those that they engage with me in Instagram, obviously. Those that engage and send the questions, obviously, when I reply more tailored. So if you would like perhaps a more tailored answer to your question, next that I put a question box, feel free to send me the question, and I will talk about that question. So Bruno saying that he's civil, and good. So as a civil engineer, let's say that you did some design work. Very important that obviously design work needs to be in the career episode. And as a design work, engineers that they do design, what type of documents that would be good to prove in the career episodes? Because the booklet says that you need to provide enough support evidences of your engineering work in your career episodes. And those documents, they could be the standards that you applied. It could be the workout or memorial de cálculo if you did a design. Not everything, but just a little bit, just to prove that you did some calculations. They don't really like, Engineers Australia, they don't like you to put a lot of calculations and formulas, but a little bit you need to demonstrate. If you have some screenshots of AutoCAD, or if you used any other software, for example, a structural design software, for example, you can take some screenshots and put in there. If you did basically those sort of things, photos, if you have photos and diagrams and tables. So, but very important that those documents, when you include in your career episode, you need to reference that. And this reference is if you did it. So very important, because you cannot use photos and illustrations and pictures and calculations that you didn't do. If you use the things that you didn't do, Engineers Australia will interpret that as plagiarism, because they're going to say that you're trying to claim a job that somebody else did as yours. And that's unethical behavior, and this is going to be plagiarism. So if you did it, put in there, put like a legend saying, photo number 1, I took this picture to demonstrate whatever. Or if you put in a table from a technical specification, you put a table there, let's say a reinforcement table, and then you put that the table number 1 reinforcement table from NBR, whatever. It's very important to put the reference who did it and why you put in there. So you put in that because you're following a standard, and then you included that table or a diagram to demonstrate that you use that table from the standard to support your calculation. So that is for the career episode. If you're going to do your RSEA, the Relevant Skilled Employment Assessment, which is a separate process from the validation process. The RSEA is a process that Engineers Australia is going to assess your work experience, and then if you're claiming 3 or 4 or 5 years of work experience, then you need to provide your reference letter as a primary document, and then there will be a number of ask you some of the details, because they need to see who paid your salary, if your salary was there included in your tax return. They might ask you your INSS or your social security statement, also your FGTS or your superannuation statement as well, bank statements, your carteira de trabalho, your like a work contract, and those sort of documents are usually issued by a government agency or obviously your company. So that's for your secondary documents if you are going to apply for the RSCA. Also in the reference letter, it's very important to include at least the 5 main activities or duties that you did in your job. And also, obviously, it needs to be signed by somebody that knows you or knew you. Or if people already left, then somebody from the HR, the Human Resources Department, can sign the letter as well. And very important to be in the company letterhead, papel timbrado. And when you scan it, you need to scan in color. Sometimes people, they scan in black and white and not in a very good resolution, but needs to be scanned in color, high resolution, at least a minimum of 300 dpi's. I hope that I've answered your question, Bruno. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to send in the comments. I'll keep an eye here in the comments. If I'm looking to this side, it's because I am looking at some of the comments in Instagram and also in YouTube. The other question that I received from Karina, I'm assuming that she is here in Australia, but she asked me in Portuguese. You're welcome, Bruno. She asked, can I apply for a visa with another process already in progress? Looks like that she applied already for SC482, and then she's asking if she applies to another visa, does it interfere with the one that is already in progress? This one I actually responded to her a little bit earlier because I'm not a migration agent, so I can't really provide migration advice. So I responded to her that it's important for her to double check with a migration agent, because obviously they are competent and qualified professionals to give those sort of advices. It's not really like related to the validation as much as a lot of the engineers and my students, they are or they have or they are planning to apply for different visas, but they always follow the advice from a registered migration agent here in Australia. So I don't know, you guys may know, but I have my clue from what I heard, but I don't want to give the wrong information, so I'm going to keep my opinion to myself. Yes, Marcos Paulo, he's saying he is living in Dublin at the moment. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's interesting trend, because looks like I know that there's a lot of Brazilians in Ireland and Dublin, obviously being the capital there. But there's a lot of people interested, I think, people living in Ireland or Dublin, that they very tuned in what's happening here in Australia. I don't know if you guys are not liking Dublin and want to come to Australia. Yeah, I'm suspecting that could be the weather. If you guys are like me or my family, we don't really like the very bad weather. We used to live in Curitiba in Brazil, and for those that know Brazil, you know that Curitiba is cold and rainy, beautiful city, but it's very cold and rainy and overcast and those sort of things. So here in Brisbane, Queensland, obviously is very nice because it's a lot of sunny days and hot, warm. Winter is not that bad. When it's cold, we talk about 8 degrees, 10 degrees. But that's an interesting observation that a lot of people from Dublin, they interested in Australia, and I see a lot of people asking questions about Australia. Anyway, welcome, Marcus, and hopefully you will be here in Australia one day if that's what you want to do. Yeah, he's saying exactly. Yeah, the weather sometimes can be a bit a deciding factor. Even though, Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide, it's colder than Brisbane, but still very, very nice weather. Even in winter, we had a little bit of a weird winter now with some a couple of weeks of rain, but winter here usually is blue skies, a bit cold, but blue skies. You can still do a lot of things outside and enjoy the weather here in Australia. So wish you all the best, Marcus, and I hope to catch up with you one day here in Australia. All right, other questions that I received, I'm just going to select here, so many questions there. This question about the career episodes is a very popular question, and people from Brazil, people from the Philippines, people from Colombia, people from Pakistan, they all ask the same question because they have questions how to choose the best experience for the career episodes to match with the competencies. So there are a few things in this question. So one, career episodes, for those that probably those that don't know much about the validation process, you need to write three career episodes as part of your application to validate your engineering degree here in Australia. And each career episode is going to be based on an experience of you as an engineer. So, and this experience can be either an academic experience when you were at university, or it could be an experience from your work experience after you graduated. Some people, they fresh graduated, they still can validate because Engineers Australia doesn't really require work experience. So you can validate your engineering qualification without work experience. So these are the three career episodes. And then the question has about the experiences. So for each career episode, you need to choose one experience from your engineering career, academic or work, or both together. And experiences, obviously, those engineering experiences, they need to be relatively competent in 16 competencies, 16 competencies. And then the Engineers Australia assessor, the avaliador, he or she will then read your career episodes, will look at your qualification, look at your academic transcript, and then they'll do their job. And they will, if you address all the 16 competencies, they will deem you competent, and they will approve your application, that your qualification is suitably qualified, similar to an Australian qualification, and you get your approval letter. So you need to think about your engineering experiences, academic, work, or both together, and then think about the competencies that you need to address. So you need to understand those 16 competencies, and then you need to choose the experience matching with the competencies. So with that, how to best choose those experiences. First of all, it's very important that you read the ANZ SEO occupation definition. ANZ SEO occupation definition is the Australian and New Zealand standard classification of occupation. And for each of those occupations, let's say civil engineer, mechanical engineer, chemical engineer, electrical engineer, it will have a specific description of that occupation there. I'll see if I can open up here. Where's my Chrome? I can open up here. Just going to share. I think now you can see my screen. I'll put here Google, and then in Google you just need to put ANZ engineer, and once it goes there, you got to make sure that you go to the abs.gov.au, which is the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and that's the government agency in Australia that defines the definition of each occupation. So you click in there. There will be a lot of other occupation websites, but they are commercial ones, and you want to go to the official one, which is from the Australian government. So once you click in there, you will find here minor group engineering professionals, and then there will be a little bit of description, and then you'll find the types of engineers here. So I saw that somebody, Arthur is, you might be environmental engineer, Arthur, because I can see your profile here in Instagram. So I'm going to show here for the environmental engineer. You will not find the environmental engineer here directly in the first screen. So you need to go to other engineering professionals. So if you don't find yours in here, go to other engineering professionals. And then you will find here, for example, environmental engineer. So when you go, and this is the ANZ SEO code that you will use in your application. And then when you go to environmental engineer there, you just need to go down and find the description. And that's it. So you found the environmental engineer. And Engineers Australia is going to use this definition here that I'm just highlighted as the definition that they're going to use to assess your application. So environmental engineer, he or she assesses the impact on air, water, soil, and noise levels in the vicinity of engineering projects, plans and designs equipment and processes for the treatment and safe disposal of waste material, and assesses what may cause problems for the environment in the long term. So pretty much you need to think about your experience at university or at work, and think about what are the experiences that they are matching with this definition. And why do I say that? You could be thinking, oh yeah, Gerson, but I've studied environmental engineering in Brazil, so why do I still need to double check that? It's because sometimes what we studied in our home country, for example, myself, I studied in Brazil, sometimes it's not really what they teach here in Australia, especially after graduation. When you worked for myself, for example, as a civil engineer in Brazil, I did many things as civil engineer there that civil engineers, they don't do here in Australia. And I see a lot of candidates or engineers that they forget or they don't read carefully the definition, and they ended up writing using experiences that they don't match with the definition. And when they submit their application, Engineers Australia will go back to them and say, sorry, but your experience is not really what we are looking here in Australia. Could you please rewrite your career episode and make sure that you choose an experience that matches with the ANZ SEO occupation definition. So it's very important that when you choose your experience needs to match the definition of the ANZ SEO occupation definition. If not, you run a big risk of being rejected, your application being rejected, because your experience is not really according to what Engineers Australia is expecting. All right, so very, very important for that. So that's one thing, how to choose the best experiences for the career episodes to match with the competencies. So the first thing is to make sure that the experiences, they match with the ANZ SEO occupation definition. Another hint for you to choose a good experience is that the experience needs to be somehow complex. And you will know, if you are a mechanical engineer, you will know what is a simple experience in mechanical engineering, and you know what could be a complex experience. As a civil engineer, I know what is a simple experience and what is a complex experience. I, for example, did many simple things, and I did many complex things. And even simple things, but I did a lot. For example, I did part of some of the works that I did in the past, footpath, calçada. I did kilometers of footpath. But how complex is to design a footpath and to build and manage the construction of a footpath? I can say that it's kind of a 10 kilometers, but it doesn't matter, because it's virtually the same thing and it's not complex. What's going to be the traffic on top? Pedestrians? Maybe cyclists? Yeah, and as a civil engineer, we know that what damages surfaces or pavement is commercial vehicles, so not even cars. So we know that, we're talking about pedestrians and cyclists, so it's not their traffic that's going to damage a footpath. So it's not a lot of design that needs to be done there. So it's not a complex experience. If it was like a big slab with, let's say, 10 meters or 15 meters free span with no beams or piers or columns, whatever, then it could be more complex, because you've got to do a lot of design. You need to consider the type of material, perhaps some additives to the concrete mix, all the shoring and scaffolding and formwork and everything else obviously needs to be engineered. So that is a more complex engineering experience, and you will probably need a team to do that as well. So the experience needs to be a little bit more complex. What other questions I've got here? Yeah, this question keeps coming on and on again, so I'll quickly go through that, and just conscious of time that we almost towards the end. So don't forget to like the session if you're still there, and if you haven't hit the like button, I would appreciate if you can do that. And if you're watching on YouTube and if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, you just need to search in YouTube my name, Gerson Ida, and you'll find me there. There's more than 180 videos, I think, last time that I counted, and a lot of content there. If you like, consider subscribing. I will appreciate if you subscribe as well. So what's the steps to validate my engineering qualification? So that is a very common question. I get it all the time, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a surprise after this one, just before I finish. So hang in there. So the steps to validate the diploma. According to the Engineers Australia booklet, I don't know if I have a copy of the booklet here. So if you don't have the booklet, you need to download it straight away. So that's the booklet there. Yeah, that's there. So the MSA booklet, the Migration Skills Assessment booklet. So this is going to be your Bible. I'm just going to go back to this one. So this is going to be your Bible. So you need to read very, very carefully. And that's another hint how to choose the best experience, because you need to understand the competencies, and everything is written in the booklet. So the steps according to the booklet, there are six steps. First step is your personal information. So in terms of personal information, you will need your identification, your photo, your curriculum or resume. If you change your name, then you need to provide a document of your name change. And also you need to provide your English test results. So apart from the English test results, everything else is probably very straightforward. Step number 2, it would be you need to choose your category and your occupation. So that's pretty easy. The category, you have 3 categories to choose from: professional engineer, engineering technologist, or engineering associate. There's the category of engineering manager, but that's just for migration purposes. It doesn't give you, if you are approved, it doesn't give you eligibility to become a member of Engineers Australia. And the occupations are those ones that I showed you in the ANZ SEO occupation definition. So civil engineer, mechanical, electrical, environmental, electronics, mining, aeronautical, whatever type of engineer that you are, then you choose your occupation. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is your academic records. So your bachelor degree certificate, your academic transcripts, historical, academical, and if you did other specialization courses or post-graduation courses, even a master degree, you should provide those certificates as well. And if they are not in English language, obviously you need to get it translated by an authorized translator. Step number 4, it will be your skilled employment evidence. So in terms of that, we're talking about the reference letter, the things that we discussed early in this live session. So especially if you are writing your career episode about work, you need to get a reference letter from that employer to support your evidence, as evidence that you worked for that company and you are using that experience in your career episode. And obviously, if you are applying for the RSEA, the Relevant Skilled Employment Assessment, you also need to provide your reference letter. So that's step number 4. Step number 5, it would be the 3 types of reports. So there are 3 types. The first type is your CPD, your continuing professional development, which are the learning opportunities that you did since you graduated. The second type of report is your career episodes. And then you have the 3 career episodes, the 3 experiences that you need to write about. And the third type of report is your summary statement. So your summary statement is where you're going to address the 16 competencies. You're going to write why you believe you've addressed those competencies and where in the career episodes they are located. So these are the three types of reports. And then step number 6, it will be the application itself. So you need to go to Engineers Australia website, you create an ID number there, create your login, your password and everything else, and then you start your application. You choose everything there, and then you upload all your documents, your CV, passport, photo, copies of your certificates, translation, reference letters. You upload your reports there as well, and then you will pay. You got to choose the service as well, because you can choose just for the validation, or you can choose the validation plus the RSCA, and then you can, if you are PhD, you can ask them to validate your PhD as well. So you need to choose a service, and then you will pay the fee, and once you pay the fee, you can also choose if you want to fast track your application. Fast track is you pay around $300 and something, and then Engineers Australia will accelerate the assessment of your application. So instead of waiting for 3 or 4 months, you will probably wait 20 or 30 days, depending on obviously how busy Engineers Australia is. But in average, it will probably be between 20 and 30 days if everything is all right. If you don't pay fast track, it's probably going to take between 3, 4, I saw even 5 months already. And that's it. So 6 steps, very easy, obviously very, very quick. There's many more details in each of those steps, of course. All right. So what I would like to let you guys know as well, that I'm preparing, as you know, I do my free workshop, but I'm thinking there's a lot of people asking me many different things, and I'm thinking to do another workshop, but in a different way. My workshop, for those that already enrolled or registered in the workshop, when you go to my webpage, engineersinaustralia.com, when you go there, you just click in there, and then you go to the registration page. I'm actually going to copy and paste that for you, so if you want to have a look, or if you want to register yourself, you can. And I'm just going to do in Instagram as well, just to see if that's going to work. Yeah, Instagram looks like it's, yeah, my broadcast service looks like it's not working there. But if you go to my bio, there is a link in my bio, and then when you click in there, you will find exactly this one. So when you go, sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen. So when you go to my website, engineersinaustralia.com, then you can click in here and register to the next free workshop. And then here is very easy. You just need to put your name and email address, and then select all that applies. I'm Brazilian, I'm living in Australia, and register now. Why do I ask that? I ask that just because I've got, when I send emails in Portuguese and emails in English. So if you're saying that you are Brazilian, regardless if you live here in Australia, if you live in Brazil or living in Dublin, you get my emails in Portuguese. If you don't tick that, I will understand that you're not Brazilian, and I will send you emails in English. So that's the only reason why I ask if you're Brazilian or if you're not a Brazilian. Just because for me, it would be much easier to do everything in English, because then I just need to do once. But because I know that some Brazilians, they don't really speak English very well, so I do 2 jobs. I do in English, and then I do in Portuguese. Like this video here, once you confirm, you get to access these 2 videos, 40 seconds, one in Portuguese, another one in English. Just to say that emails are unreliable. Sometimes you don't get the emails, they go to the junk mail. So you can join my WhatsApp group, where I share links of the videos, and I share notifications when the lives are going to come, and etc, etc. Because sometimes your email provider will understand that even though you registered to the workshop, it will understand that it's a spam, and it's going to send to your junk mailbox, and nobody checks junk mailbox, and then you will miss out the link to the videos, and then you're not going to learn anything. So that's the simple reason why I have the WhatsApp group here. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just trying to find the best date, but I think it's going to be probably around mid-August, maybe towards the end of August, because I still need to plan a little bit and prepare the material, because I'm thinking that's just going to be live sessions. But I need to prepare that. So, and I'm a bit busy with work and working here at home. A few things that we're doing in terms of renovation. So I'm going to try to find more spare time to prepare for the workshop. But I'm fairly confident that I will be able to do a free workshop towards between the mid of August towards the end of August. There's Arthur. He said in Instagram, I have started working my career here, but something different I used to do before back home. Get a bit worried about now. Yeah, well, Arthur, depends. If you depends what you did back home. If the things that you did back home were not good, and other things that you are doing here are the ones that really good, that matters, then it's okay. So it's better. But if the things that you did back home are the ones that are the right things to do in terms of the validation, and now here you're doing something different, you don't need to worry too much, because you can still use your experience back home to validate your qualification. So it may not be an issue. You're saying that you used to work with waste management, but here working with conservation. Yeah, that could be. Depends what you did or what you're doing with conservation as well. So we can have a quick chat later on. During the workshop, what I do as well, in the live sessions, apart from the content, in the workshop, I usually give free sessions of consulting on the spot, let's say 15 minutes, where I put a post and then you guys comment in that, etc., etc. And then from the comments, I do a draw, and then you could be the lucky one to get 15 minutes, and then we can have a 15 minutes conversation about your particular case, which usually is interesting to the other people as well. So yeah, but yeah, just make sure that you are getting my emails. For example, today or tonight, 8:30 p.m. when I started the live session, I sent an email to remind that I'm live. So check your email. If you haven't received that, it's because it's probably went to your junk mailbox. So make sure that you save my name and my email address, and you will be receiving my emails. All right. Okay. Well, conscious of time, and I'll just would like to certainly thank you guys very much for that. And I hope that we can be here next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. talking about maybe next Sunday. I think next Sunday I'm going to talk about how you can get a job as an engineer here in Australia, because obviously that could be the ultimate goal for you, to get a job here in Australia, and then the validation process is obviously part of the process. So I will choose something related to job recruitment sort of things. So I will talk about that next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. All right. Okay, just check with, there was no more questions there. Yeah, all right. Yeah, Tu was saying that well, he lives in Western Australia now, and have pretty much the same question on the people. I'm working in a company of conservation, but still looks like as a labor job. Yeah, that will depend on what you do in terms of conservation. Yeah, sometimes the important thing about engineering is that engineers Australia, the design component is very important. So you need to think about what are the experiences that you actually designed something or you coordinated design. Coordination of design is more for like production engineers. Every other engineering career will need to have a very strong component in design or calculations, etc. So you need to think about of your experiences. What did you do that you really had to apply engineering knowledge and engineering judgment? So yeah, and certainly we can explore that during the workshop because then we'll have more time. All right then. So I would like to thank you guys very much for your time and for your patience. And I hope to see you guys next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. here on Instagram and YouTube. And I'm going to be talking about a subject related to my other series, how to get a professional job here in Australia. All right. Thank you and have a very good end of Sunday. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.